Hello everyone, and welcome to my veteran Maelstorm Arena guide. This is a guide for the average player, by the average player, and we're currently up to stage 7, also known as the poison stage. And trust me, things get a little bit random in here, a lot of stuff happening out of our control. I'll try and point out some tips and tricks that help me get through this stage and to deal with all the lovely randomness that happens. As always, I'll put a link in the description to my first video, stage 1, where I'll briefly go over my gear, skills, CP, etc. But yeah, let's jump straight into the random wackiness that is stage 7. So as we load in, you'll notice we have a nice big arena, which is good. We'll need a bit of room to move. And you'll also notice these lovely little plants here. Now these plants have got a bad habit of exploding and poisoning us, and if we get poisoned we're going to die very quickly. So the only way to cleanse ourselves is to jump into one of the cleansing pools. There's one to the top right of the screen, and there's one directly behind us. Now in each round you can only use these pools once, so once you cleanse yourself that pool will disappear, and then the other one will be the only pool available to you. If you use both of them before the round is out and get poisoned again, you're insta dead. There's no way around it. So just try and stay out of the poison. Now if you can imagine the arena as a square, you'll notice there's 4 pads at each corner. You can see one there just next to the plant, to the left hand side of the plant. Now on these pads a mage will spawn, and it will be channeling, and as it's channeling it will spawn all these lovely little plants, and they'll all spawn and explode at the same time all across the arena. Now we need to burn that mage down very quickly. Where she spawns will be random, when she spawns will be random. There will be an audible cue, which is very good, and you'll learn to listen out for that. But you just need to burn her down quickly. Luckily it only takes a couple of shots, and we can get her down quickly. I suggest taking the shield sigil toward the end of each round. The trolls here can be quite nasty and hard to deal with, but they're not too much trouble with the shield sigil. And I'll explain a few things as we go along. So the trash mobs here at the start of each round are generally nothing to worry about. Just lay your AoE down, sit in it, and burn them down. The archers, on the other hand, need to take priority. Other than their light attacks, they have a take aim ability, which they'll charge up a big attack and one-shot you. I think it hits for like 40k. And their other ability is a conal area of effect poison spray, just there. Now if that hits you, you'll get poisoned, and the poison over time, the damage over time effect by poison can really hurt you, and most of the times it will kill you. Generally it's a troll at the end of most of the rounds. They do this rock pelt, which snares you, slows you down to like 40% speed or something. Their other big attack is a rock throw, so you need to make sure you're not in the way of that thing, because it will CC you, knock you over, and most of the time kill you. Now this is where we have our first mage spawn. I can hear it in the background. Like I said, a couple of shots, and it's generally all it takes to bring them down. Always keep on these archers. Like I said, the trash is nothing too serious. Them archers take priority. Remember, on the round bosses, don't be afraid to take the shield sigil. It'll definitely help with the rock throws. These trolls will enrage too. This one's enraging at the moment. While they're enraging for a few seconds, you can't hurt them, so it's a good idea not to waste your magicka on them. But just remember, you'll get to know when the last the boss on the round comes out, so just take that shield sigil, and that'll help immensely. They won't be much trouble at all. Just keep an eye on where your feet are, don't get too close to any of the plants, and keep on top of the archers. So coming up is probably one of the more challenging parts of the stage. We're going to have 2 archers spawn, and as soon as we get the second archer down below a certain health threshold, a Wasuma is going to spawn. Now he does a nasty spit, and if it hits you, it just slows you right down. So I suggest stacking the speed sigil along with the shield sigil here. Helps out immensely. Beware of this guy's large stomp. He does a big stomp which emits, I think, 4 rolling AoE balls that come out from him. If you get hit by any of those, they will one-shot you. So coming up after this next trash pull here, we're going to be faced with 3 archers spawning in at once. So to deal with this, I like to position myself on the edge of the arena next to the shield sigil, which allows me to stay out of range of 2 of the archers, and it forces them to run towards me, buying me a little bit of time to burn the 1 archer down. And that's the most important bit, and the key to getting through this is to burn the 1 archer down quickly. So once one's down, the other ones will follow quite quickly. If you see one in an animation like that, leave it there as long as you dare, because it's harmless while he's doing that, and then burn the other down. Now here we take poison. I don't think I actually step in the poison, but RNG says I did, so we quickly shield up and cleanse ourselves. Now we're in a position here where we have the 2 trolls up. Now I strongly suggest taking the shield sigil there, but once we get one down, the other one will go down quite quickly. Trick is just to keep your distance, keep calm, and take them as they come. So as the last boss spawns in, I'm just going to pause it here and go over some mechanics. Now it's important to know what's going to happen in the fight ahead if we're going to stand a chance. So when he initially is spawning in, we will lay down AoE and backpedal immediately. We do not want to be close to this boss at all. Now he will do a few attacks. There's 2 that we really need to watch out for. The first one is Wrecking Bite. He'll slam his fist down and then immediately after that bite us, and it can be a one-shot. Now I find the best way to prevent this from being a one-shot is to CC break the initial slam, and then we take damage from the bite, but it doesn't always seem to be a one-shot. Then we have a much better chance to survive. But obviously the best way is don't get close to him. He does need to be within a certain range to apply this ability, and best way to avoid it is just not get close to him. Now his second ability that will give us a bit of grief is Ground Stomp. Now he'll stomp the ground with his foot and send out shockwaves. Now there's a few ways we can deal with this. We can be at a distance and just stand in between the shockwaves. We can position ourselves much more quickly, we can see them coming. Another way is to stand behind him. There seems to be an area there that's much more broader than in his frontal area. It gives us a lot more room to move. Another way is just to face tank it. So if you know it's coming, you can't get away, pop whatever shield that you may have, block and take the shockwave head on. But just try not to do that too many times, obviously. His third attack is just he'll spit in your direction. The spit isn't applied onto you, but it's applied to the ground near you. You simply just move away from it and don't stand in it. It's quite nasty, but it's easy to avoid. Other than that, he will have light and heavy attacks like any other mob. I think they give a bleed, nasty bleed, just heal through it. Now certain times in this fight he will spawn 2 mages. Now it's important for us to understand that we can control where these mages spawn. Now where I am at the moment, if they were to spawn right now, one will spawn to my right and one will spawn directly behind us at at this end of the arena. But if we were to my left, further down the arena, they will spawn down that end of the arena, one on one side, one on the other. Now that's important to know because if we're looking to use certain sigils, so say we want to use the shield sigil, we want them to spawn up this end so we can pick up that sigil quite easily. If we want to use a damage sigil, we want to have the boss down the other end so they'll spawn down the other end next to the sigil that we want to use. Now it's important to know that we DPS one of these mages down quickly, and we must not kill the other one, because immediately after we kill the first mage, he goes into an enrage mode where he'll scream, and we need to get under the dome of the second mage in order to survive. So the second mage will emit a dome to protect himself, and we need to jump in there with that mage so it protects us. Now we also don't want to kill this mage while the boss is screaming, obviously, because we will die too. So what we do is we concentrate all DPS on the boss, so ulties, just all your rotation out onto the boss, and then after a certain amount of time when the boss starts to stop, we want to instantly DPS the mage, because the mage will then in turn become empowered and its attacks become quite potent, so we need it to die quickly. And after that mage dies, then the fight goes back into its normal ebb and flow cat and mouse type of a fight until the mages will spawn in again. And then if your DPS is strong enough, by the second time these ads spawn in, these mages, you should be within execute range, so just keep that in mind. But other than that, you just go through that ad cycle and then straight back into the fight again afterwards. And don't be afraid to use sigils, that's what they're there for, they'll help out immensely. So we backpedal immediately, and there's a spit, and next is the ground stomp. We can see it coming easily, we get in between the shockwaves, not a problem at all in the meanwhile keeping our distance. And now you can see the mages spawn. We DPS one down very quickly. Now I ignore that channeling mage there because his scream will actually wipe her out. And then she doesn't become a problem to us. Now we DPS the boss, keep our buffs up, and then we'll immediately turn and kill the mage ASAP. And then it's just back onto the boss, keeping our distance. There's the wrecking bite I was talking about. As you can see, it deals quite a lot of damage.
I'll wager that will leave a mark.
So the boss is now approaching execute range, so I know that there's another lot of mages due to spawn in, so I know where they're going to spawn. Remember, if we're down this end of the arena, that's where they're going to spawn. So we quickly burn down one, and then it's straight into to the execute, although I think I'm a little bit slow on the execute here. There we go, we get there eventually. As soon as he dies, all the ads will die around him. And if it all goes to plan, it should be as easy as that, but it never is, trust me. As always, repair up, and then it's onwards to stage 8.